Pokemon Sword and Shield's DLC Crown Tundra might be the perfect DLC for Pokemon fans who are looking to capture all kinds of legendary Pokemon. However, what about fans who just enjoy playing the games casually? Well, in short, not really the greatest. In today's review, I'm going to explore the Crown Tundra and explain if it's worth the money or not. Sign in, sit down, and let's jump right into today's review. It goes without saying that there's going to be spoilers in this review because I'm reviewing the Crown Tundra, so if you don't want that, just go ahead and click away now. Pokemon Sword and Shield has divided fans for many reasons, but can a DLC that promises to be 4 times the size of the Isle of Armor fix all of Sword and Shield's problems? In short, yes, but really no.
That is one big pilot.
Do not get me wrong, Crown Tundra is probably one of the best and most diverse and fun pieces of DLC I think I've ever seen in my lifetime. But its main draw is not the main story. The main story itself is very short, leaving casual fans that just want to play through the games once left being disappointed. The DLC starts off with an introduction of a character that will essentially just be a quest giver. After introductions are made, the player is forced to replace the guy's daughter on his adventure vacation, which I found very odd that he would just willingly replace his own kid with you. I guess he's really into these legendary Pokemon hunts, right? But seriously, man, this just doesn't feel right or seem right, and it doesn't seem written that well either. But then again, Game Freak's never been really great for stories. Before anything else actually happens, the players are directed to participate in a Dynamax raid-style dungeon with multiple encounters, ending with a legendary Pokemon. The twist here is that the player can only use rental Pokemon or replace their rental Pokemon with a caught Pokemon in that specific dungeon run. While this is cool, it does not necessarily mean that players would want to return to it over and over again to capture legendaries or shiny legendaries, or shiny Pokemon in general. But this dungeon does present 2 main features that Sword and Shield lacks: the appeal of very rare Pokemon, including these legendaries, and the aforementioned magnified chances for shiny legendaries. So if you're a shiny hunter and you don't trade Pokemon or use Pokemon Home to transfer your Pokemon, this is a great way to complete your decks, or get some really cool shinies to flex on people. However, outside the additional Pokemon added to the Galar region itself, the shiny hunting, and the terrible short story, there really is no reason to do this dungeon again. That said, the main campaign will open after the completion of 1 Dynamax dungeon. Once the player reaches town, there will be access to 3 main quests, but one will be pushed more than the other 2. The main quest itself will prompt players to restore a legendary Pokemon that people no longer believe in, and the story pushes the idea that through the DLC, players are going to restore this region that is covered in snow and ice, but sadly that never happens. As players continue through the main quest, there are simple busy work questing that needs to be done. At one point in time, players need to find carrots, and then help legendary Pokemon create reins for a horse. This will lead the game to giving the player Nebby from good old Sun and Moon. Nebby, get back in the bag, Nebby. Yeah, that Nebby. Cool, but pretty arbitrary at this point in time because it's a level 5, so it's just more of a afterthought. Battling both the main legendary Pokemon and its steed is something that the player will also be doing during this storyline, which I thought was cool too. I think it's pretty unique that you actually do get to battle a broken up Pokemon instead of just its fused form. Due to a player's choice, the horse will either be a ghost type or an ice type, which I also think is pretty cool. You get to choose what one you want and want to battle. This would also change what the final battle with the legendary Pokemon will actually be. Finally, the player will be tasked with climbing the mountain and reaching the massive tree in the region. Once there, the player will lure the horse up and have the legendary Pokemon tame the horse, and then the final battle will be with the legendary Pokemon on top of the horse, which is like a fused type of Pokemon. Think Kyurem from Black and White Generation 5. The player is forced to capture the Pokemon though, regardless to if they want to or not. And trust me, there are people out there that don't want to, including me. And this is where the DLC story really fell apart for me. At one point, the game should have given the option to just let the main legendary Pokemon roam free and heal the land and stop the snow. The entire DLC has players going through Crown of Tundra, focusing the point that these people, they live in a region where they can't grow crops anymore, and that's because they no longer believe in this legendary Pokemon and don't think it exists. And this is the entire reason why it lost all of its power, or so it thinks. There's kind of a weird twist to it, but at the end of it, it's just really trying to allude to players that this legendary Pokemon is going to restore all these crops and make everything great, but then it never happens. Nothing ever happens. After you capture this Pokemon, the town is really relegated to an afterthought that you've spent so much time in trying to save and restore. It's like you just don't care. You got the legendary Pokemon, you're done. That's something. The game forces the player to capture the legendary Pokemon at the end. That's just the DLC, man. That's just Game Freak. I personally thought Crown of Tundra would turn into some springtime area filled with great crops, restoring the legendary Pokemon to its former glory, and it would be the king of the region reigning over it. That would be really, really cool, but it didn't happen. It's just the typical Game Freak catch the legendary OP Pokemon and be done with it. There are 2 more sets of quests after this, though, which involve the legendary Bird Trio and the Regis, but this time they have new Galar forms. So first, the Regi quest involves the player going into temples associated with the given Regi and then solving a simple riddle and some other minor riddles. It's not really that big of a deal. And then you have the legendary Bird Trio quest, which is a very similar quest line to the Regis, but instead of temples, the birds are split into 3 different areas. For example, Articuno flies to an icy mountain in the Crown of Tundra, whereas Moltres flies to the Isle of Armor, and you can encounter these Pokemon in those areas. The other 2 quests are outside the main storyline, and they're significantly shorter, so it takes the DLC playtime for the main story down to around 6 hours, and with these side quests, if you know what you're doing, it might give you another hour or 2, but it's not really that long. There is also a secret boss that can be fought as well, Necrozma, where the player will battle alongside the quest giver, Peony, and his daughter, and another random NPC, but essentially it just boils down to a Gigantamax raid boss. Yeah, there's also a secret ending, which again is cool, but basically the player just unlocks a special doubles tournament, and the final boss is the guy who sent the player on the quest. Again, Peony. He's teamed up with another gym leader, and you just do a big double battle in the tournaments. I think it's alright. It's cool, but it's nothing amazing. This tournament is just more about rewarding the player with bragging rights than anything else. So, is the DLC worth money? Well, yes and no. Casually, it's quite short, and it provides little in terms of long play sessions. For hardcore fans, shiny hunters, and players who don't necessarily want to transfer all of their Pokemon onto this game, this is a great option, and it provides a wealth of new Pokemon, all kinds of items, some of which are very viable for competitive play if you're into that, and it also offers legendary variants unavailable in any other games right now, to include the Ultra Beast. I would say that it is somewhat of an in-between type DLC. It's not the worst I've ever played, and it really is quite fun, potentially the best that Game Freak has ever done, but it is the second DLC, so I mean, I don't know what could be worse than your second try at DLC. Compared to the Isle of Armor, I would say it is significantly better, but the Isle of Armor really wasn't much at about 2 to 3 hours playtime to complete the DLC fully. Compared to the base Sword and Shield though, it feels like it's much more geared towards capturing Pokemon than the previous game and the previous DLC. I was personally able to run through the entirety of Pokemon Sword and Shield and not capture a single Pokemon, while the same is here in the DLC. The main Sword and Shield no capture run took me 18 hours, where this no capture run took me only 6. But that seems very in line with the pricing being roughly half. and also being half of an expansion pass. So it's not even the full expansion pass, it's just half. I highly recommend this DLC to fans. You will enjoy it a lot, but at the same time, if you're just casual and wants to play through the story and you don't want to waste your time, then just watch some YouTube videos, and yeah, that's probably the weakest point of the DLC, the story. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. If you were curious about getting Crown of Tundra, there's my opinion. Somebody who plays offline, doesn't really trade, doesn't use Pokemon Home, and just wants to play through the games while challenging himself. That's me. If you kind of identify with that, then there you go. You have your answer. Check into it. I think you won't be disappointed if you take this review as a pretty basic guide and you understand exactly what you're coming into the DLC for. If you're coming to capture Pokemon, shiny hunt, and get some new regional variants, well then, I guess it's going to be great for you. But if you came for an amazing story, you're definitely missing out and not in the right place. I've been Protomario and I'm signing out. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to leave me a big like. Let people know I exist. That's the greatest way you can support me for absolutely free. And yeah, as always, good gaming, God bless, and I'll see you in the next one.